तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। अशेमवहु वहिष्ठेमस्ति उष्टास्ति उष्टामान् यदशाय वहिष्ठाय शेम। श्मा इस्राएल Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad। Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa। Buddham sharanam gacchami Dhammam sharanam gacchami Sangham sharanam gacchami। Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La ilaha illallah, Allah, Allah. La ilaha illallah, Allah, Allah. La ilaha illallah, Allah, Allah. Om Saishwaraya vidmahe Satyadevaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat। Om Saishwaraya vidmahe Satyadevaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat। Om Saishwaraya vidmahe Satyadevaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti।
Jai Sai Ram, everyone. We would like to welcome you to our special SAIMA regional program. Let's start with offering this program at our beloved Swami's lotus feet, Sri Satya Sai Baba. Today we have our wonderful sister, Anuradha Venkateswaran, as our guest speaker. Let me take a moment to introduce her. Sister Anuradha Venkateswaran was born into a family that has been in Swami's fold since 1964. Sister Anu went through the Sri Satya Sai Balvikas program in Chennai, India. She joined the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Anantapur campus in 1992 and graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in physics. After moving to the United States in 1998, she continued to be actively involved in all wings of the Sai organization. Sister Anu is currently a Group 4 teacher at the Sri Satya Sai Center of Northeast Atlanta, where she also serves as the center president. Just before passing the mic on to Sister Anu, we'd like to make a quick announcement that we will have question and answer session after the talk. Brother Sri Akela will be our moderator, and you will see his name as a moderator. So please send your questions to him, and we look forward to hearing Sister Anu, Anu's inspiring talk today. Everybody, please welcome Sister Anu. Saira.
I offer my prayerful salutations at the divine lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan. Respected elders, brothers, sisters, and dear children, loving Sai Rams, and greetings to all of you on this auspicious occasion when we observe Swami's Avatar Declaration Day. The Vedas declare Yato Vacho Nivartante Aprapya Manasasaha. The Lord, the Avatar, God is beyond the measure of words and the grasp of the mind. I am very, very honored and grateful for this opportunity to share a few facets of Bhagwan's glory with all of you this morning. Today's Avatar Declaration Day celebrations. On the 20th of October, 1940, a 14-year-old Satya left for school like any other morning. But within minutes, Swami came back home. He flung aside his book bag, stood right at the doorstep. He didn't even enter the home. He flung aside his book bag and declared to his bewildered sister-in-law. He said, I am no longer your Satya. I am Sai. I don't belong to you. I have my work that I need to do. My devotees are calling me. I'm leaving. I'm going. I can't stay here any longer. Swami then walked to a neighbor's house, Sri Anjaneyulu's home. He went to the garden, sat on a rock in the middle of the garden, and by then there was a congregation that was gathered there. And Swami led them in prayer. And he chose to begin with Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam, the bhajan which we're all very familiar with, which we've heard in Swami's mellifluous voice. This bhajan is a call to the mind to meditate on the feet of the Sadguru, in order to help us get across the ocean of samsara, the ocean of birth and death. And that is the sacred day we observe as Bhagwan's Avatar Declaration Day all over the world. Why does an avatar come down? Why does he take an avatar and come down? This was the exact same question that was on the mind of the Mughal Emperor Akbar. So he asked Birbal this question: why should an avatar come down? This almighty God, why should he come down as an avatar? And Birbal, being a wise man, a wise minister, a trusted minister, he asked for some time because he knew he had to give a convincing answer, a very clear answer. And he decided to do a little demonstration. So he asked for a few days' time, and a few days passed. Akbar and Birbal were taking a leisurely boat ride in the palace at the lake. And suddenly, Birbal overthrew what appeared to look like the young prince, Emperor Akbar's son, and he overthrew onto the lake. Naturally, Akbar was shocked. He wasted no time and he jumped into the water to rescue his son. Just as he got into the water, Birbal said, "O Jahanpana, it is not your prince that has fallen, but a doll made in the likeness of the prince." Akbar was now furious. And he asked Birbal for an explanation. What is the point of this rude, cruel exercise? And again, Birbal very humbly said, "O Jahanpana, you could have ordered me, any of the guards in the boat, the boatmen. We were all right here. You could have ordered any of us to jump in the water and rescue your son. Why did you, the emperor, why did you have to take the plunge into the water and risk yourself and take the inconvenience. He didn't have to say any more. Akbar understood that just as he couldn't wait for someone else to rescue his son, whom he loved very dearly, the Almighty God himself comes down as an avatar, and it's purely out of his love and affection for mankind. Swami has given a beautiful explanation about why an avatar comes down. He says, Avatarinchutayanutalo arthamemi. What is the meaning and the purpose of the Lord taking an avatar? The same question that Akbar asked Birbal. And he explains, Janulapai Preeti Vatsalya Paratatoda. He takes an avatar, the Lord takes an avatar purely out of his expression of his parental love towards all of mankind, as a mother, as a father. Swami has joked with us. He's asked us about our welfare. He asked, what did you eat for breakfast? When we say idli, how many idlis? And he continues to this day to look after us, to look out for us, so we can feel a kinship with him. I feel there is a deeper significance to an avatar coming down to our level. I'd like to revisit an incident from Swami's childhood, from his school days. Many of you would be familiar with it, and if there are SSC teachers, students that have joined, I'm sure you may have discussed this in your classes. A young Satya was punished by his teacher for not taking notes. So the teacher made Swami stand up on a bench. That period was over, and it was time for a different teacher to come in and take over the class. However, the teacher who punished Satya got stuck to his chair and he was not able to get up. Now, the next teacher, who happens to be Janab Mehboob Khan, who was very, very fond and revered Swami as a guru at that young age itself, when he came in and realized something was up, he saw the teacher was not able to get up from the chair. He could see that he was struggling to get up from the chair, and he saw Satya standing on the bench. He knew something was up, so he intervened and he whispered in the other teacher's ears and he said, allow Satya to get down. Satya was asked to get down from the bench, and at that same instant, the teacher was relieved from his chair. All of you are familiar with the story, but I want to focus on what I feel is a great significance to this story, because no act of the avatar is insignificant. As insignificant it may appear to us when we read the stories and glance over them in a book or in a cartoon. If we look at this incident closely, it was when Swami came down that the teacher was able to get up. And this is exactly what an avatar does. He assumes a human form. He willingly takes on a human form, and he descends so we can ascend and rise to his level, to his divine level, and make that bar that he sets for us. That, I feel, is a deeper significance of this incident. And many, many years later, Swami clarified to Professor Kasturi that this was no prank by a child. And Swami had done this because he felt it was time for the world to know about his avatarhood. Among the various incarnations of Mahavishnu, Lord Rama and Krishna are the most meaningful to us because we are able to grasp their examples. We're able to follow the solutions that they gave to the various problems, and we're able to contemplate on their teachings. In a verse from Gita, Bhagavan Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He declares that whenever the avatar descends, the good will be protected and the wicked would be destroyed. It is a promise, it's a vow he's given. We know from the Ramayana that Rama bore arms and physically destroyed the wicked. And when there was a need, even Krishna did that. He too used destructive force. But in this Kali Yuga, which we live in, which is called as the age of vice, of wickedness, Swami chose to come armed only with love and compassion. That was his weapon, if there is one. And that love and compassion is what he used to transform us. There are many, many stories of prisoners, of murderers, people who took to wicked ways that have turned around because Swami has transformed them. And let us remember, this is something I often remind myself because we all forget, there is absolutely no duty binding on God. Bhagavan Krishna says that, and Swami too. There is no duty binding on Swami. Yet he comes down purely out of his love for all of us, for our sake. In his very first public discourse, this was in the year 1953, it was during the Dashara festival. We just observed Dashara, yesterday was Vijayadashmi. During his divine discourse then, Swami declared that the first 16 years of his avatarhood would be marked by leelas. Leelas are divine pranks that the fortunate devotees of those years were able to experience firsthand. The next 16 years, Swami said, would be marked by mahimas, or you can call them astonishing, mind-boggling miracles. And after that, after the 32 years, Swami said he would engage more and more as a teacher, as a guru, as a sadguru, and he would give upadesha to all of us. And promptly, at this 32nd year, Swami put pen to paper and painstakingly, for him it was not a pain, he did it purely out of his love. Swami put pen to paper and he wrote all the Vahinis. In fact, in the Prashnottara Vahini, Swami's love just spills over, not only in the answers that he gives, but also in every question, because Swami himself posed every question and gave the clarification. What a beautiful Lord, what an amazing Lord we have. That is his love for all of us. Otherwise, why would he take the trouble to do that, right? Many of you may have heard Dr. Frank Baranowski. He was a professor and an expert in aura photography. I think it was called Kirlian photography. He had developed this special technique by which auras of people, of divine persons, could be photographed. But he also had a special gift. He could see the aura of others even without the camera. With his naked eyes, he was able to see the aura around people. This was in the late 70s. It was the year 1979 that he went to study Swami's aura. And he had by then studied the auras of over 100 holy persons from all around the world. People who did humanitarian work, people who were leaders of a mutt, of an organization. He had studied the aura of over 100 people. And he came to Vrindavan to study Swami's aura. He did not come as a devotee. He just came as a scientist because he was trying to find a scientific explanation and he wanted to study and capture the aura with his camera. And when he came there, the first darshan he saw Swami was in the balcony, the beautiful Trai Vrindavan, and Swami was giving darshan to the devotees that were gathered below. And he says that the aura that Swami was projecting was immense. He describes all these beautiful colors, the white, the blue, the pink, which extends beyond what he can see, beyond the hall, beyond anything he can even see. And he says it was like nothing that he had seen before. And he did not have a scientific explanation to this unique phenomenon. And he said this aura that Swami emanated just showed his love for humanity, for all of us. And he says the energy that he felt was limitless. And in his very beautiful words, which many of us have used since then, he describes Swami as love walking on 2 feet. I feel there couldn't be a better description for Swami. Swami himself sings, "Love is my form." And he also makes us repeat. When we repeat the song, we don't say, "Love is your form. Truth is your breath. Bliss is your food." We sing, "Love is my form. Truth is my breath. Bliss is my food." Brothers and sisters, it may have been a miraculous cure that brought us to Swami, a parent that brought us to Swami, a relative who told us about Swami, a friend in school, a friend at work, or it could have been a prophecy or a timely intervention. Maybe Swami canceled a cancer in the family. Swami cured an illness. Or in some cases, it might have been pure curiosity that drew us to Swami. But that is not what keeps us connected to him over a decade after his Mahasamadhi. If there is anything that attracts us to him and keeps us connected with Swami, it is only his love and it's only his compassion and his love for all of us. I was sharing about Dr. Frank Baranowski when he was sharing his experience and what he observed about Swami's aura. He says he had delivered hundreds of lectures all over the world, all around the world about auras, and he was able to do that with ease. But he says when he was speaking in Swami's divine presence about Swami, he says his knees were shaking and he couldn't find words to express himself. He says that was the power of Swami's love, and we can't speak enough about that. And many of us have experienced this exact same feeling that Dr. Baranowski had. We may have a laundry list of prayers, of wishes, and we want to take Swami's guidance on, Swami, my daughter is about to get married. Here are the horoscopes. Please choose one. Swami, I want to buy a home. Should I buy in this neighborhood? Should I buy here? Swami, I have 3 job offers. Which one should I take? Forgetting that Swami may have a 4th option to give us, but we make him choose between the 2 or 3 options that we give him. But we may go with all of these plans, and we may have even managed to corner Swami, or Swami may have allowed himself to be cornered by us. And when he actually appears in front of us, all we can bring forth to say is our tears. That's the only way we can express. And the tears just fall copiously. It has happened to me several times. And that I feel is a beautiful cleansing experience. I almost feel like it's a punarjanma, a rebirth of sorts. And one beautiful, loving smile from Swami, and we forget everything, all our troubles, or the laundry list that we wanted to ask and take Swami's guidance for. Think about it. That is not why the avatar came, to tell us, whom we should marry and which job we should take, or what we should do to solve these problems. Even for that matter, problems of Swami, there's something is going on at the center. That is not what the avatar came for. He came to give us self-realization. But even if we do go with this list, when we see him, we forget about all of these problems. And we're just thrilled to have this opportunity to bask in his darshan. I'm reminded of a beautiful poem from Swami that describes this exact same sentiment. He says, Pichulu pogattu pichi pattinchunu Sachidanandudu Sai Baba. This Sai removes the madness for the world, and he makes us mad for God. Kanniru teppinchu, kanniru tappinchu, kanniru teppinchu. Chinmaya Murtiyo Chinni Baba. This little Sai, this beautiful Sai, he wipes our tears of sorrow and brings forth tears of joy and tears of bliss. When we shed those tears for Swami, it's Ananda Bhashpam, as Swami would say. He would accept it. It's not tears of sorrow. This is joy that's brimming and overflowing that we shed these tears for him. Swami has instilled that kind of love, that pining in each of our hearts, that we're able to pine for him and see him in all of creation. Swami has often reminded us that we are sparks of the divine. And invariably in every divine discourse, he would either begin with Prema Swarupulara, which is embodiments of divine love, or Divyatma Swarupulara, embodiments of the divine Atma. That is what he wanted us to identify with. And that is the bar he set for us. There is a telling story behind the title of the book that many of you may have read. It's authored by Dr. Samuel Sandweiss. The book is titled, With Love, Man is God. Dr. Sandweiss wanted to title this book, Man is God, but he almost had a little bit of fear, and he felt that it may be considered as blasphemy here in the West to say man is God. It would be considered a sin. So what he did was he took a mock-up of the cover to Swami, and he took it to Swami to see if Swami would bless it. And Swami signed it very quickly, and it almost seemed like, seemingly without any forethought, Swami just signed it, and he gave it back to Dr. Sandweiss. And the author, he too didn't think much of it, and he didn't take a very close look at it until after a year, when he noticed that it was a very significant place where Swami had signed it and the way he had signed it. So Swami, the way he had placed his signature, Swami wrote the words, with love, and then the title of the book appears, Man is God, with love, and then he signed Baba later. So there was his idea, and now we all know that the book is called With Love, Man is God. And after he had this discovery, after much longer, he had a chance to ask Swami if With Love, Man is God is a good title for the book. And with great enthusiasm, Swami said, yes, that is what I have been telling everybody. With love, man is God. What a beautiful way to remind ourselves that is the bar. With love, we are God. each of us relate to Swami in our own ways. For some, he's a loving mother. For some, he's a stern father who's constantly guiding and telling you what is right and wrong. For a lot of us, he's a guru. And of course, he's a guide and he's God for all of us. When we talk about Swami as a guru, I cannot help but mention that Swami is like a PE teacher in India, we would say drill sergeant. He's like a drill master who demonstrates and shows us life. A social studies teacher can talk about the Niagara or the Yosemite Mountains without ever having been there. He can talk about the Taj Mahal. He can talk about history. He can talk about Lincoln without ever having been alive during Lincoln's time. But for a PE teacher who demonstrates left, right, left, put your hands up, put your hands down, bend down, touch your toes, stand up. He demonstrates and he shows. And Swami would say, Acharinchu chupichinavade acharyudu. And Swami shows us, demonstrates how we should live our lives. I'll share a few that I picked to share today. Swami has shown us by example, as a role model, how to serve. While doing Narayan Seva, we have seen beautiful pictures and videos of Swami bending down and going to these poor Narayanas, bending down the villagers and serving them in their plate, serving heapfuls of food, not rationing, heapfuls of food. He showed us how to serve. When there were severe floods in Orissa, that's a coastal state in India, the northeast side, and there were severe floods. It happens quite often. Once Swami had sent a lot of relief supplies, and after the casualty, after the event had passed, the beneficiaries came to Prashantanilayam to offer their gratitude to Swami. They came on a pilgrimage to Swami and they thanked Swami and they said, Swami, please, thank you. Thank you for all the gifts that you sent for us. And Swami said, no, don't thank me. Don't thank me. I should thank you for the opportunity to serve them. At the time, one of the professors who happened to be from the state of Orissa said to Swami, you have done so much for these people. Thank you so much. How will we ever repay and express our gratitude? And Swami, and he used the words, Swami enta shrama tiskunnaru. Swami, you took so much effort, so much difficulty in order to do this for them. And Swami corrected him and said, Bangaru, oh dear one, idi shrama kadu, prema. This is not a difficulty. I do not see this as effort. This is pure love. And Swami looked at this professor and he asked, do you have any children of your own? He said, yes, Swami, I have a son. He said, when you know that your son needs help and you go out to help him without even him asking for help, do you expect gratitude? Swami said, that is how I feel towards Janulapaina Priti Vatsalya Paratatoda. He said, he feels that same motherly affection towards all of us. He's not looking for our gratitude, but that doesn't mean that we should be ungrateful. We have our Sai organization here in the USA. They've planned a national service retreat next year. There are beautiful events lined up for us. And I'm sure many centers in your region would be involved in service projects that day or that weekend. Let us think about this incident and how Swami explained, Idi Shrama Kadu Prema, whether it is in hosting this call, joining as a co-host, as a moderator, joining as tech help behind the scenes, which nobody knows you are the one doing the work, as a seva coordinator, as somebody, as a volunteer who's going and serving that meal in the soup kitchen. Let us remember, and Swami has told us, culture, what is the definition of culture? Culture is concern for others. And Swami demonstrated that, and he practiced what he preached. So we just discussed how to serve and how Swami was an ideal role model. Even the minutest things, how to correct someone, Swami has shown. And I will share a personal example here. It was the Christmas of 1995. That was the year I had graduated. I had finished my undergraduate program from the Anantapur campus of the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of High Learning. In those days, Christmas Day was also observed as Messengers Day. It was called Messengers of Sathya Sai. The alumni passed out from the women's campus. We would come back together with our families, with the spouse, with the children, with parents, and we would assemble, and Swami would sometimes give us a discourse. He would distribute gifts. He would distribute saris. And that was the first year I went as an alumni for this Messenger's Day on Christmas Day. In the morning, we all know that Swami would, the Westerners would walk in Nagar Sankirtan carrying candles. Swami would come to the balcony and give Nagar Sankirtan darshan in his beautiful white robe. But that evening, Swami gave a special seating, and this was in Kulwant Hall that year. Swami gave a special seating, and he approached us in that group. The home science students, the outgoing batch of home science students, they had baked a beautiful cake for Swami. And since I happened to be sitting in the very front, in the first line, the cake was placed in front of me, and a knife was given to me, and I was asked to offer it to Swami when he approached our ex-student block. This knife was beautifully decorated with a satin ribbon, with lace. It looked very beautiful. It was a silver knife. And I was so excited, elated that I would have this opportunity to offer it to Swami. When Swami came towards our group, he asked, "Oh, what is this?" And we said, "Swami, it's Christ's birthday. You are the Christ. You are the avatar that we see. Please, if you would cut the cake." I offered the knife to Swami. However, when I offered the knife, imagine this is the knife and this is the sharp portion. I offered it like this to Swami. At that time, I did not know the etiquette. I was still a teenager. I offered it like this to Swami. Swami looked a little amused. He gave a look at that pen. He looked at me. I did not connect the dots at the time. Swami put his hand around and took it from the soft portion. He cut the cake, but when he returned it to me, he did not give it like this, with the sharp portion pointing towards me. Swami turned, but not only that, he drew my attention just with his eyes. No words were exchanged. He just did this, and he returned the knife to me. Now, Swami could have called me out. I was surrounded by my teachers, other senior students. He could have said, "Is this what you have learned in the institute? Have they not taught you basic etiquette, manners? Is this what you have learned?" Look at his minutest detail, and look at his attention to detail, that he cared to show me that. He did not call me out. Only Swami and I understood what he was trying to convey. And I have never forgotten that. He used even that opportunity as a teaching opportunity and did not call me out. It's something I remember today as a center leader. I'm still working on it, and I pray to Swami that he continues to guide and remind me of this lesson. How to correct somebody is what Swami showed, even that in his beautiful way. How to dress, he would tell us, always dress modest. The students, the women, he would say, for women students, he would stress on the importance of kattu. Kattu is the way you dress, the sari, how you cut, how you cover the pallu, how you dress modestly. Didn't apply just for women, even for men. He would say things like, don't have long hair, don't have long sideburns. I remember a funny story here. There was a male student that was waiting to get admissions into Swami's institute. This happened many, many decades ago. He sported long hair. In those days, it was a fashion. It was the 60s, I suppose, 70s, and he had long hair and bell-bottom pants. So when Swami came for darshan, he said, "Swami, please, can you give me a seat in your college?" And Swami asked this boy, "Boys' college or girls' college?" In a humorous way, Swami was telling him, "You need a haircut." So this applied to men and women. Swami was very particular about dressing. But how did Swami himself dress? And Swami would say, "I am not wearing this orange robe. I'm not wearing it to show to everybody that I'm a sannyasi." The color orange is associated with renunciance. He said, "That is not why I'm wearing this robe. Look at this robe. It covers my neck, covers all the way to my wrist, all the way down to my ankles." And he said, always dress modest, be covered. When you're in the spiritual path, when you are a sadhaka, a spiritual aspirant, you do not want unnecessary distractions. Again, Swami led by example. How to speak? Swami would speak softly, lovingly, unless he had to admonish someone and he had to drive home a lesson. Then he would be very firm and assertive. He was always speaking softly and lovingly. When did you come? When are you leaving? What did you eat? It was always sweet and loving speech. This is again something that I'm working on. We're all on that path. I'm a little excitable. So I always tell myself, and I feel like the pandemic has really helped because we aren't out and about as much, interacting, limited social interaction. So I'm using this opportunity to go within. And I hope by the time we are fully out of this pandemic, I have learned So coming back to how one should speak, Swami would say only the person that is intended to hear what you're saying should be able to hear it. And I can share, because Professor Hemlata has shared about this in public, and there's even an article published about this. Late Professor Hemlata Madam, she was our principal, at the longest serving principal in all of Asia in any institution. During Darshan once, she was talking to Swami and she expressed something, and Swami told her, speak softly. What you say only I should be able to hear. Why are you speaking so softly that everybody should hear? Swami drives home a lesson in every little thing. He would say, and he would add, you may not always be able to oblige. And as center leaders, I'm sure many of you are aware, as an SEC teacher, as a parent, as a center leader in the organization, at work, when you're in a leadership role, you may not always be able to oblige. And I can tell from my own experience as a parent, you can't always say yes to your children. That is not good parenting. But Swami would say, you can speak obligingly. You don't have to say yes for everything, but you can kindly say, I'm sorry, I would have really loved to do that for you, but due to these reasons, I'm not able to do it now. And again, as I said, this is something I'm working on as well. And another example I wanted to share about is, again, coming back to his attention to detail. Again, this involves Professor Hemlata Madam. A lot of us, she was very strict, very firm and assertive, but also very loving. We've learned so much from her over the years. The tradition of annual sports meet, which we all see now, during Sankranti celebrations, all of the institutes come together and observe a sports meet, and Swami would distribute prizes to the different campuses. This tradition started in the Anantapur campus. I don't know how many of you are aware of this. This was around the mid-80s that this tradition started. So we had a sports day for the students in the women's campus, in Anantapur campus. And those were the days that Swami was visiting the Anantapur campus several times in a year. So Swami was invited to participate and to attend as a chief guest and distribute prizes to all the participants and the winners. So the students and staff were so excited. The whole campus was spruced up and the garden was beautified for Swami. The avatar was coming. And Swami did come on the designated time, and he brought with him several guests, including the vice chancellor. And they came to the Anantapur campus. And Swami pointed out to all the dignitaries who came with him, and he said, look how beautiful the campus looks. And he even pointed to the floor, the tar road, and he said, look how sparkling clean it is. It's like a mirror. You can see your reflection. That is how excited my students and staff are to see me. And the Swami participated in the bhajans. Swami gave divine discourses, and it was time for Swami to distribute the prizes for Sports Day. So Anantapur campus is one of the largest, is the largest campus of all the campuses. About 80 acres of land is where our campus is built. There's the hostel and the college auditorium, and then quarters for the teachers. And there's a beautiful ground behind. It's been many years since I visited. I'm sure they've added more amenities. So a pandal was set up, a makeshift stage was set up, and it was spread with a dari, and it was decorated. A mic was set up for Swami and shelter. And as Swami and the dignitaries were climbing up the set of stairs, Professor Hemlata was walking behind Swami with her hands folded in prayer. Swami just bent down and he picked something up from the ground, from the stage, and he gave it to Professor Hemlata. And she said, Swami, he said, here, there is a pin. Nothing happened to me. But if the vice chancellor or any of the other dignitaries had stepped in it, it would not be nice, right? You should always pay attention. If you're organizing an event, you should see it from start to finish. You should pay attention to detail. Imagine the minutest thing, nothing misses his eye. And he shows us that is the bar he sets for us. That doesn't mean we order everybody, do this, do that. There may be times where, as a leader, as a parent, you may have set a bar. If you feel the others can't make the bar, you can tell them kindly, and you can do the work yourself, right? We can do the work ourselves. That is what I feel, and that is what I try and practice. We have a certain, not an expectation, but a bar, Swami's bar, not our bar. But if you cannot make that bar, you do the work yourself. We can do the work ourselves. Talking about Swami role modeling, I'm watching the time, role modeling ideal behavior, expressing gratitude. Over the years, particularly over the last decade of Swami's sojourn on earth, Several groups from around the world went on pilgrimages to Swami. They took plays, musical offerings, and every group was given a gift. It would either be a picture, it would be a photograph opportunity, saris, safari cloth material. Swami would come down and take pictures with them. Swami would sit through the long, imagine, you can watch one program, you'd be excited. Second program, these kind of talks, if they're arranged every day, we won't tune in. But Swami sat, the avatar of this age, the avatar who's looking after, he once said, Enni lokamlu chuskavalira, I have to take care of the entire universe. I have to make sure everything stays in place. Everything is in its respective orbit. He's allowed to come into his orbit. This avatar sat patiently with a bad back, with a bad hip. He could not hear from 1 year. Swami was physically weak towards the end, from a physical perspective. He sat through all of these programs. He gave Pada Namaskar. As people would make a beeline, every pilgrimage group, they would discuss, okay, you will distribute the flyer. You will hand over the flyer to Swami. You will give the program sheet. You will offer a rose to Swami. And you are the leader. You do this role. You do this role. 10, 15 people would go and Swami would patiently sit and smile. It would never be forced. He'd smile and bless each one of us. And he would shower gifts to us when we took these programs to him, saying, thank you for making the trip here. Here is a gift for you. There is even a beautiful incident of Swami thanking a buffalo that served Swami and the devotees when he was staying at Horsley Hills. This was up on a hilltop and there was no running water. So it was hard in the steep hill for man to carry the water. So a little pole would be put on top of the buffalo. On either side, there would be 2 buckets hanging. And the buffalo would carry water from the bottom of the hill up on top. On the last day when Swami was getting ready to leave, everybody had gotten into the cars. As they were getting ready to leave, Swami said, stop. I forgot to thank someone. He was distributing gifts to the staff, the cooks and everybody. Swami said, I forgot to acknowledge one person's help. Swami got down and he walked to the back, to the shed where this buffalo was kept. The caretaker was there. Swami went up there. He patted the buffalo and he said, Bangaru, think about that. For Swami, that buffalo is also a dear one. Before the call today, one of the sisters, the sister who introduced me was saying, I have a dog barking. I hope it doesn't disturb. But Swami came even for that dog. Swami came for this buffalo. Swami patted this buffalo and he said, Bangaru, chala baga seva chesavu. You did beautiful service. You took the trouble. You brought water for all of us. How could we have bathed? How could we have had drinking water if you hadn't done that service for us? Swami patted it. And as Swami was doing that, the buffalo was shedding tears. It was just shedding tears. And Swami took pictures. Swami had this tradition of taking pictures with everybody. Swami called the photographer and he said, take a picture of me, the caretaker, and the buffalo. And it doesn't end there. Look at his gratitude. Look at his attention to detail. The following year, when Swami made a trip there to Horsley Hills, he called the caretaker and said, here, remember last year we took this picture? Here. And Swami gave that. That is his love. That is his gratitude. Not only that, Swami would do regular Grama Seva. And this, I could not participate in that as a student because this tradition started after I left the portals of the institute. Every year during Dashara, which we just celebrated, Swami would send clothes, saris for the women, and dhoti for the men, laddu, pulihara, some items, some basic amenities he would distribute, and the students would go to the nearby villages and they would distribute this to every home. And that I remembered Swami hasn't forgotten us. Every year Swami would do this. Swami wanted to extend this to Dharmavaram, which is quite a distance away from Puttaparthi village. And Swami one year sent word for the students and staff during vacation. And he said, can you all stay back this year? And they said, Swami, anything for you. He said, the residents of Dharmavaram, they took care of my devotees in the early years. They would have to pass through Dharmavaram. But brothers and sisters, my mother went to Swami in the early 60s and she has shared how hostile the residents of Dharmavaram, some of the nearby villages used to be. They did not like the attention Swami was getting. And they would say, what is this Sai Baba? Why are you going there to see him? They would not, the Tongawalas would not take people who wanted to go to Parthi. But look at Swami's love. He said, the residents of Dharmavaram have provided lodging for my devotees. They have provided transportation for my devotees. I want to express my gratitude. And this year, I also want to give them these packages for Narayan Seva. That is how Swami led by example and showed us how grateful we should be. And finally, his humility. The avatar does not have to be humble, but he showed us by practice how to practice humility. In the early days, one of the devotees who attends our center, his great-grandfather was the first priest in Swami's mandir, Prashantanilaya Bata Mandir. And he shares how in the early days, Swami himself would ring his own bell, temple bell. Swami would ring the bell. He would even, there are several books where it's mentioned, there are even articles where with the mandir ladies, where early days, Swami would go and clean the mandir, remove the old flowers and clean up his own altar. Swami would do that. And then he would wake up early and do that. And the women had to almost fight with Swami lovingly and say, Swami, give us this opportunity to serve you and earn punya. And then they started waking up early and they cleaned it up before Swami could come. So they had to kind of forcefully take over that seva from Swami. They had to plead him. That was his humility, despite being the avatar of this age. We're coming to the second half. So I want to focus on 3 qualities which I feel are very unique, very special to God and to an avatar. These are Anandatvam, Amalatvam, and Anantatvam. I'll spend a few minutes talking about each. I'll repeat that again. Anandatvam, Amalatvam, and Anantatvam. Anandatvam, the word Ananda means bliss, joy. And we know Swami was always in joy and he always granted joy to all of us. In his song, which we talked about earlier, Love is my form, truth is my breath, he sings, bliss is my food. I am not sustained by my ragi or sankati or my peanut chutney. I am sustained by all of you being happy. That is my food. Bliss is my food. He never wanted us to keep castor oil faces. He would say, why castor oil faces? Smile, always live in bliss. Why should you be sad? I am here for you. On May 25th, 1947, the year India got independence, Swami was a 20-year-old youth. There's a significant letter he wrote to his brother who was a little perturbed at that time. He was concerned with what Swami was doing, going around saying he was the avatar. He was very concerned for Swami and also for his safety. And he wondered, what is this that's going on, Satya? I am not able to understand. Swami responded with a beautiful letter. It's a lovely, beautiful letter, which I think is also available on print. Swami responded back to his brother's concern, and Swami assured him and said, you have nothing to worry. And in that letter, Swami talks about, if you could say a mission statement, every company, every organization has a mission statement. We will serve our customers. We will provide the best mobile service experience for you. Depending on what industry, we would have a mission and a purpose. Swami too, if you could say he had a mission and a purpose for his organization, this is what he would be. And he starts the letter with the line, Akhila manavulaku anandamuna gurchi rakshinchu chundute Dikshanaku. He says, my task is to foster all mankind. And he would call us, he would say, man is Ananda Pipasi. We are constantly looking for bliss. We are always looking for ways to make us happy. And it is not going to come in buying the latest iPhone or buying the biggest home or finishing your basement better than your neighbors or buying the next Beamer that is out there. That is not how we will get lasting joy. And he would say, Neti, Neti. In the Ramayana, not this. Yes, finishing these cabinets, redoing my kitchen gave me happiness. I thought about it for a week, for a month. Now I turn and look, I'm sharing my own experience. We extended our kitchen cabinets a few years ago. It felt like something I was missing. It was added and I felt elated. Oh, now I have more cabinetry. I can buy more Instapots, more Corningware, and I can stack these. But now I don't even look to see, oh, I have these extra cabinets. That will not give us lasting joy. As man, we are constantly looking, what will give me joy? What will give me joy? And only God is that. In Tamil, we say, Aravamudam, tigattada inipu. How many gulab jamuns can one eat? How many Mysore pak can we eat? After a while, we'll get sick of it. We can't keep doing that. But think about it. How many darshans have we had of Swami? The permanent residents who live there, the people who get front seating, the VIPs, No matter whether you've sat in the first line today, tomorrow, day after, every day you want to go sit there. You want Swami to look at you. You want to look at Swami. That kind of attraction power Swami had. He would say, we are Ananda Pipasi, always seeking for that bliss that will only come with union with God. Now, coming back to his task, he says, Akila Manavalaku Anandamana Gurchi, Rakshinchu Chundute Dikshanaku. My task is to foster all mankind and fill all of you with bliss. That, he says, is his task. So we just talked about Anandatvam, the bliss factor. Amalatvam, the meaning for the closest that I can come up with for Amalatvam is blemishless or pure. We talk about the diamond as to what rating, right? We say carat, how many carats, and G purity, F purity, like that. The flawlessness, the Amalatvam stands for the flawlessness. It's absolutely pure, the best rating. And that is because Swami is purity itself, embodiment of purity. And he has no selfishness in him. He's utterly unselfish. There was an incident recounted by some of the students, the former students, and brother Indreshwar Singh, he actually recounts it. There's an audio recording for those. And he explains, he narrates this beautifully. And he has a very beautiful style of talking. He's from the royal family. And he shares about an incident that involves arm wrestling. What is arm wrestling and what is that got to do with the Kali Yuga avatar? The students were in the stadium, in the sports ground, and they were doing their exercises, like the muscle, to build muscle and stamina and strength. There were boys doing this arm wrestling where you hold the arm and whoever gets the other person's arm down is the winner, is announced as the winner. Swami arrived there when this was going on, and Swami too joined in the fun. And he went toe-to-toe with this brother who was quite muscular, quite strong. And everybody felt, Swami is the small 5'4". He's fragile. He's 108 pounds. There is no chance. But at the same time, they also thought, but he's God. He can use his divine powers. He can do anything. If he can make you rise from the dead, if he can cancel cancer, if he can stop a truck from running over somebody who's driving in a motorbike, Swami can easily take him down in arm wrestling. And just as they guessed, the boy did end up losing and Swami did win over him. But they said, in their minds, I'm sure they thought, but you're God. Swami knew he could read the thoughts. And he said, I did not use my divine strength. This is my physical strength. And Swami said, where did this physical strength come from? In all my life, in all these years, I've not had one unselfish thought. I've not had one selfish thought, one selfish word. I've not done one selfish deed. And it's that purity that sustains my body. It's not the food I eat. That purity is what I used to, win in this so-called, tournament, or in this match, if you would call it that. That purity, that is his Amalatvam factor. And finally, Anantatvam. Ananta, the word Ananta means infinite, means limitless. And isn't Swami's glory infinite? I'm sure over the past several years, since your region was formed, since your centers have been in existence, many devotees have come and gone and shared Swami's stories with you. And if every one of you on this call, in this meeting, were given an opportunity, you can share how Swami has touched your lives. You can share about his glory. And if it could be a satsang, we opened it up, it would not be like Akhanda Bhajan. It would be not 24 hours, it would go on for days on end, and we would still not be able to grasp it all. Swami says, when one person asks Swami, all of your leelas must be documented for the sake of posterity. Swami said, that's a great, great thought. It's a very noble thought, but it's not possible. For you may never know all of my leelas. Only Swami knows. There are so many times he's come to the rescue of people where even that person didn't know, but Swami has protected them. Unbelievable, astonishing, mind-boggling miracles that prove his omniscience. That is what a Purna avatar does. Though he is God and when he comes down as a human, he still retains all of his divine powers. The omnipotence, the omnipresence, the omnipresence. I can share a few personal examples. I am watching the time. I will wrap up close to an hour. I thought I'll save my personal experience for towards the end. Yesterday, we observed Vijayadashmi, and Vijayadashmi is the day that the Shirdi avatar took Mahasamadhi. So I want to share a couple of experiences that talk about Swamis, that explain Swami's omnipresence, omnipotence, and omniscience factor. All in one, all rolled in one. My mother came to Swami in the early 60s, 63, 64 time frame. Just to cut the story short, my mother and her sister, younger sister, were having a very casual conversation as they were washing, as one sister was washing the clothes and the other was showering. They were getting ready for the day. My mother suggested to her that, in a small puja room, there was a humble home, 5 daughters and a son, middle class. The father was working in Southern Railways with 100 rupee income. He had to sustain the family and, support everybody. So it was a very humble home. They had a very, very small altar, small puja room, which they always kept locked because there were several miracles happening in the home. Vibhuti would appear and kumkum, haldi, amrit would appear, nectar would appear from the pictures. So many devotees from the neighborhood would start coming in to have darshan. They did not want anybody to come and do anything or, put things and say Swami created and things like that. So they would always keep it locked, except when they go to offer aarti, when they go to decorate the altar. So every night they would keep that room locked. And the previous night when they locked, there was a chair. They had cleaned up the room. There was a chair that was kept for Swami. It was empty. They locked the room and came out. So that morning, the following morning, when my mother and my aunt, my chitti, were having a conversation, my mother said, Raji, these days, a lot of devotees are coming in and out. This Maranarkali, this wooden chair we have, it's taking up a lot of space in the puja room. Why don't we just bring it out? We can keep it right outside the puja room. That way, more people can go in and have Swami's darshan. So we're not depriving anybody of the opportunity. And my aunt thought it was a great idea. They had decided after their shower, when they go to do the puja, they would bring the chair out. When they went in to open the door, the chair that was empty the previous night now had the statue of Shirdi Baba, which was kept on the lower step the night before. That statue was now sitting on top of this chair with a mound of vibhuti on top and with vibhuti all over on the red cloth that on which the statue was placed. Vibhuti everywhere. It was as if Swami was saying, I heard your conversation. I'm omniscient. I heard your conversation. I do not want you to move this chair. I want a chair in this room. So I will place myself there to tell you that you are not to take this. This incident proves his omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence. Another incident also related to the Shirdi avatar. This happened on Mahasamadhi Day, on April 24th, 2011. That morning, I was distraught like all of you on this call. I picked up all the memorabilia, all the different gifts that Swami had given me, the saris, the handkerchiefs that he had blessed, the wedding invitation that he blessed. I kept all of that in the puja room and I was looking at it and I was just tearing up. My children had a Tamil class to attend that day. So my husband, being the practical man that he is, he said, Anu, I too am very sad, but life goes on. Swami would want us to continue doing, all of the things we did before. So the children have an exam today. I have to take them. But I did not want to be home alone grieving. I felt like I have this close connection with the Shirdi Baba Mandir, which is very close to my home, which is about 6 miles away from me. Before the pandemic, every Thursday morning, I would attend the Kakada Arati with my mother. And it would be like Ekanta Darshan, nobody in the temple but the priest, and you could watch the Abhishekam. That morning, I felt maybe I would get some comfort by going to the temple. Because just that previous Thursday, 3 days before that, I had gone to that same temple and I had done an archana for the first time in my life. I mentioned Swami's Gotram, Swami's Natchatram, and I had done an archana. So even the priest kind of remembered when he saw me walk in that Sunday morning. Swami passed on a Sunday morning for us Saturday night. So even he recognized, he didn't ask me any question. He allowed me my space, gave me my space and time. And I sat in front of Swami's Padakas. If I close my eyes, I can picture exactly where I was sitting in the temple. And that is where I always sit, even now when I go. I just close my eyes and I'm bawling. I'm just crying. And I'm thinking about Swami. And I could smell Swami's unique fragrance, that divine fragrance. And I could feel the brush of his robe on me, on my lap. And I could hear his beautiful, benevolent voice. He was talking as if he was talking to a 6-year-old child that was crying because it lost its favorite toy. The child would never get back again. And Swami was saying, why are you crying? Don't cry. I have not gone anywhere. I'm always with you. Now, I'm sure many of you have experienced something similar where Swami reassured you that he has not gone anywhere and that he's always with you. But at that moment, I felt, Swami, in the grand scheme of your mission, Swami never likes for us to self-deprecate, but I felt in the grand scheme of your mission, I'm quite insignificant. But you took the effort and you came and you reassured me that you're always with me. Now, it's not a generic statement, I'm with everybody. You reassured me. That really moved me. And it's something when I get disturbed, when I feel, oh my gosh, what's going to happen this session? Will everything happen on time? Will things go run normally? Will the children be okay? My child is driving long distance. Will he be okay? Will she be okay at school? And then I remember this. He said, he's always with me. He has not gone anywhere. To remember that. One more story I'll share. This involves a sister from your region, a senior alumni who's 4 or 5 years senior to me. She lives in the New Jersey area. So there was a satsang arranged at the Flushing Sai Center a few years ago. And several students from the Anantapur campus from around the country, we were asked to come and do a day-long program. It was like a day-long retreat. This was for Swami's birthday or Aradhana Day. And we had to come up with speaker sessions from our own group, a musical offering, workshops. It was a beautiful program arranged. And the center had their own program also. So this sister, this Akka and I had the responsibility of preparing the PowerPoint deck and making sure there's a visual element to the singing. When we sing the songs, sometimes there's narration, and we wanted to have a nice visual element because a picture could speak 1,000 words. So this Akka is very good with technology and finding the right pictures for the right song, finding the right mood and capturing it. So she had prepared the beautiful slides. So she sent me a message. This was close to 11 p.m. one night. She sent me a text message and she said, Anu, can you take a look at the PowerPoint, make sure everything is in order, that it syncs up and it checks out. So I told Akka, Akka, we lost power a few minutes ago. So I'm trying to conserve battery in my phone as well as the laptop. I won't have, so is it okay if I check in the morning and get back to you? She said, oh, no worries. But she said, oh, Anu, you said you lost power. Why don't you chant the Trayambakam mantra? Then I remembered that, yes, back in the hostel, there were a lot of power cuts, forced shutdown. And it was a girls' hostel. We were all women. And, there is always that little bit of sense of fear. What will happen if, a robber comes in, a thief comes in, or something happens? What if there are critters? And this was in the middle of Anantapur heat, Rayalaseema heat. What if there's a snake which I can't see? So what we would do is if power goes off, especially in the night, we would come out of our respective rooms. The way the Anantapur hostel is constructed is it's a rectangular building and the center is open. So when you step out of your rooms, each floor, you can actually look down and you'll see a beautiful lawn, a beautiful garden with greenery there. So I was in the ground floor at that time. So when I was a student, I remember clearly stepping out for night prayers. And if there's no power, we would chant the Trayambakam mantram. So this Akka reminded me and said, why don't you chant the Trayambakam mantram? I said, okay, Akka. And then she said, Anu, I remember one of her seniors, she said, this Akka thought the Trayambakam mantram was an electricity prayer. And if some of you are chuckling, when Akka told me this, I remember exactly where I was sitting in my house on the couch, pitch dark around. And this Akka thought it was an electricity prayer because when she'd go back to her hometown during vacation, when power would go, she would gather up her family, neighbors, and they would chant the Trayambakam mantram. So Akka said, this sister used to think it's electricity prayer. And then I kind of chuckled, laughed, maybe even was a little cynical and laughed a little bit. So she said, Anu, regardless, why don't you chant the prayer? So I just I got off the phone, put my head down, silently in my mind. I did not say it loud. And I just closed my eyes. It's called the Mrityunjaya mantram. It appears in the Sri Rudram. And I said, Om. I didn't say it out loud in my mind. I'm reciting, Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanad Mrityor Mukshi Yamamritat. Boom. I hear this loud boom. The microwave turns on, the oven turns on, the clocks everywhere turn on. And at that exact moment when I finished, the power came back on. When I shared this with my children the next day, they said, Amma, maybe it was a coincidence. The power had to come. It eventually has to come, right? I said, maybe, but I like to call it a Sai incident where Swami chooses to remain anonymous, chooses to remain silent. At exactly 11 a.m. in the morning, the next morning, 12 hours after this incident occurred, I get another message from this Akka. She says, Anu, you won't believe it. I tried to find out the name of this Akka who thought Trayambakam Mantram was an electricity prayer. And brothers and sisters, if I ask you to guess the name of this Akka was Anuradha. In case I thought it was a coincidence, Swami gives his beautiful signature and he says, that was no coincidence. Look how beautifully he orchestrates and plans everything. That is his omniscience, his omnipotence and omnipresence. In the 1990s, a friend of mine was in Parthi with her family. Swami had given them 2 rooms and they were in that room. They were having a conversation. The brother and sister were having a conversation with their mother. The mother had not gone for darshan that morning. Swami had given a divine discourse. So when the children came, they were a little older. They were young adults at the time. So, and the mother was cooking in the kitchen, but she stepped out. She went to the door. She wasn't outside the room. She was at the door, the entrance. And she was asking the children, she was literally drilling them. What did Swami say in today's discourse? Tell me. Oh, he talked about this. He talked about that. And her son and daughter were explaining to her. All of a sudden, the pressure cooker that was on burst, shooted up like a rocket, and the dal and food, everything was on the ceiling. And they were shocked. I said, if I hadn't stepped away to talk about Swami and his discourse, I would have taken the brunt of that. And everybody thanked Swami. A few days later, when they had an opportunity for a personal audience with Swami, the mother thanked Swami and said, Swami, thank you for saving my life during that accident with the pressure cooker. Swami said, yes, I know. I was there. And Swami confirmed that he was there and he protected her. We can talk on end. We have 5 more minutes. We can talk on end. It's endless. That is Swami's Anantatvam, the infinite glories of the Lord. And this perfect avatar who possesses these special qualities, he came down as an avatar only for our sake. In conclusion, I'll leave you with 3 or 4 thoughts. A devotee once asked Swami, how can we make best use of the avatar? What a fantastic question. Kudos to this person who asked Swami this question. Who better to tell us than the avatar himself? And Swami just responded and said, just love me. Very casually. He said, just love me. But there is nothing casual when it comes to Swami. He said, just love me. That is enough. Now, this devotee, that wasn't a satisfactory answer. He needed a little bit more clarity. So he said, Swami, what is this love that you speak of? What is this love? And Swami drew a triangle in the air and he said, love that is selfless, changeless, and fearless. I'll repeat that. Swami said, this love is selfless, changeless, and fearless. Think about all the relationships we have. How many of those are selfless? And how many of those relationships, the love does not change? It's constant throughout. And how much of it is fearless? Where there is fear, love cannot exist. They cannot exist in parallel. Again, I'll repeat that. Love that is fearless, changeless, and selfless. And the Gopikas, they exemplified this kind of love for Krishna. They had such immense love. They were unlettered. You may even say uncultured. They were not educated, simple-minded. Swami always uses them as the ideal when it comes for devotion. He says theirs was the best devotion. They had the most love for an avatar ever. Brothers and sisters, what is the proof of a heavy downpour of rain? It would be that the land would be moist. I feel so also the greatest proof that an avatar has descended and walked on earth, and we have all been fortunate to be contemporaries. The greatest proof is the impact that he has left on all of us. We call ourselves as devotees. It is in our love, our behavior with others. That is the proof of an avatar having descended. In closing, Swami once asked a group of devotees, he said, this was in a private session, just a handful of devotees. He asked them, what is the rarest phenomenon in this world? And one person answered, Swami, is it sakshatkara, self-realization? That is the ultimate, right? And he was hoping Swami would say, that is it. Swami said, no, not sakshatkara. Everybody can attain it with effort. And then there were a few other guesses and then they stopped guessing and that, Swami, please tell us. And Swami himself stated that the rarest phenomenon is to be a contemporary of the avatar, which we all are. We can pat ourselves on the back. Even rarer than that, even rarer than being contemporaries of the Lord, is to love the avatar. How many of us know, how many of us have friends or family that know about the existence of Bhagwan Baba, may even believe that he's the avatar, but have no ounce of love for the avatar? So rare it is to be a contemporary of the avatar, to love the avatar. Swami says, even rarer it is. Actually, it is being a contemporary, knowing that the avatar is walking on earth, and then loving him. And then finally, Swami says, but the rarest of all is to have an opportunity to serve the Lord in any which way possible. And I pray that we can always remember how blessed we are, and we can remind one another of our rare good fortune. Thank you all for this opportunity and for your patient listening. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, sister. What a riveting, thrilling, heartwarming talk. Thank you so much, first of all, for sharing many of these personal experiences. I know, as you, we saw the emotion in your face as you were narrating the personal incident, with the electricity, as well as the one before on Mahasamadhi Day itself. I think it resonated very closely and dearly to a lot of us here. You ended on this quote, on this thing here about, you were describing how Swami has defined love. And in fact, one of the questions that had come in was, you narrated many experiences of Swami's love. Can you explain Swami's definition of love and how that's different from the way that we use the word love in regular, when we go out, I love you, you love me, the Barney kind of thing. I think, so you've defined it, you've said that Swami defines love a little bit differently as changeless, selfless, and fearless. Then, but the natural follow-up, I think, is the question I think we have is, how do we love the avatar? How do we love Swami?
That is a beautiful question. And this is something I do talk about with my SSC children. I have the honor of teaching Swami's group 4 children. In our center, we call it Sundaram Group. I like giving a name instead of just a group number. We call it Sundaram Group, the teenagers. And this is a beautiful example that I can think of as a response to your question, brother. Dr. Hislop once asked Swami, what is it to love God? And I had the good fortune of hearing it very recently. I'm not able to attend study circle in my own center because I'm teaching SSC at the same time. There's a conflict. So I joined study circles at another center in a completely different religion on the Pacific coast, because I finished my chores for the day, and it's just before turning into bed, I tune into the study circle sessions at this other center in another region. And before bhajans, they play a little clip of either Swami's discourse, or they play an excerpt of a talk by a senior devotee. And that one week they played an excerpt from Dr. Hislop's sharing at Region 4 in St. Louis during a regional retreat many, many decades ago. And here, Dr. Hislop shares how he once asked Swami, what is it to love God? And we all know that Dr. Jack Hislop is an earnest seeker. He doesn't ask questions out of curiosity. He wants to know. And whenever in Sandeha Nivarani, Swami says, when you're earnest in your inquiry, I will answer you. I may answer you through a book, through a discourse, through an experience, through your maid, through anybody. And I feel like Swami answered, this was something that was on my mind too. And I feel Swami answered this through Dr. Hislop. And Dr. Hislop asked Swami, what is it to love God? And Swami saw that Dr. Hislop had a tape recorder in his possession. And Swami said to him, Hislop, while this tape recorder, this instrument, this gadget was lying in the store shelf, it may have been lying there for weeks, for months. Did you give it a second thought? Did you feel any emotion at all towards it? Obviously, Dr. Hislop said, no, Swami, I did not. Then Swami said, after you got it, you took such great care of it. You make sure it doesn't fall. You make sure there are no scratches. You clean it. In those days in tape recorders, we used to have a cassette called a head cleaner. I remember that. It would be this transparent thing. You would play it and clean the head of the thing. And Swami would say, you take care of it. You ensure it doesn't get damaged. Why do you do that? Swami, it is my tape recorder. Says, exactly. You take care of it and you develop this attachment, this love, because you feel it is yours. And Swami said, develop that same feeling about Swami. Develop a feeling that he is my God. He's my Swami. And, children will say, my amma, my tata, right? They don't want somebody else saying, and adults like to play and say, no, my tata. They'll say, no, my amma. Like that, Swami said, feel that this is my God. I belong to him and he belongs to me. He is my personal God. We talked about the Anantatvam, the infinite nature of Lord. He can be my best friend, and Brother Shri, he can be your best friend, and he can be my daughter's best friend and everybody's best friend, not just to Sai devotees. There are innumerable experiences of people who have never heard about Satya Sai Baba, and Swami has gone and blessed them. And later they come to know, oh, it was Swami that rescued me. And Swami says, if you don't develop this feeling of I am his and he is mine, he says, you will still be, you will still do your puja part. You may have fear of God, but you'll be God-fearing, but you may not have love for God. I remember growing up, a lot of the elders would say, Swami kanna kuttinu. If you don't do this, Murugan will come with a spear and pierce your eye. Really? Is the Trishul there for him to come in, for the goddess, or for the spear for Muruga to come and punish us? No, he is a loving God. And in order to develop this relationship of love, feel that he is mine and I am yours. And I feel it is for this, in order to give us this feeling that Swami came down as an avatar and he made us feel like he belongs to us, the sense of belonging that we have with him. He allows us to experience that. I can share numerous examples of Swami in a humorous way, telling me that, hey, I heard what you said. And, that is how he made me literally fall in love with him. Professor Kasuri in his Loving God says, mine is a love story with God. And he's given us the opportunity to pine for him, to love him. And we just have to make use of that.
That's so beautiful. And, actually you were giving examples of Shirdi Baba earlier in this. And in fact, you were referencing the Satcharitra and other things. I think one of the things was that they came out as you were speaking. We were thinking of, how different devotees would see him as their guru, that their previous guru, and they would see their previous guru in him, and they would decorate him accordingly. But this thing about, and this is a very interesting idea, I am his and he is mine. And so, I'm wondering, see, we're all in Sai centers. We all, we have collective satsangs. Can that feeling and the expression of that feeling ever get in the way of us working together communally? Because my ideas of how I want to treat my Swami may be different from yours. Any thoughts on that? And how Swami's expectations are, or what Swami's expectations are, and how we work together in those kind of spaces?
I want to make sure I'm understanding your question correctly. You're saying my interpretation may not exactly match my fellow aspirants. Is that what you're asking? How do you do it?
So, sometimes I may say, oh, I think, Swami, actually, we should decorate him with 3 lines on his head and put a bottu there. You see? And different people treat my Swami differently. They have their own Swami. And so how do we reconcile that in some ways? We can develop that feeling, but then what's Swami's expectation of how we come together?
Absolutely. That's a beautiful question. And we've all experienced that, especially if you're in a leadership role in a center, or even if you're an SSC teacher, you've experienced that. You've been through that, where person A may want to have the padukas placed on the footstool, and another person may say, but how can Swami keep his feet there? He won't be comfortable. We should leave it free for Swami. And somebody may want to draw the 3 lines and do the bottu, but another person may say, no, just leave it alone. How do you reconcile? How do you make sure everybody is pleased, right? For Swami, unity is very important. If it is possible, I would say one time do it the way this devotee likes, one time do it the way another devotee likes. That said, I will add the caveat that when we come together as a center, as an organization, there are certain guidelines that we are to follow. And Swami himself has said, I don't need fanfare. In fact, he said, I don't need a chair. I don't need a picture. I don't even need a microphone. Maybe just give me a microphone so people can hear what I'm saying. But I think it's unity, it is love. And if we can set aside and say, my idea is better than yours, if at all possible, if the ideas can be pulled anonymously, and as a team, everybody discuss and say, okay, about 7-8 people feel we could do it this way. Even if it's something as simple as, for instance, let me give you an example. The pandemic began and we had to decide how we are going to operate as a center. I think the very first week after the pandemic started, the 1 or 2 weeks, it was too soon for us to come up with any kind of a virtual program. So we discussed as an officer team. At that time, you cannot engage all your 100 members and say, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, right? The leaders are chosen with the collective conscience of the members. You come together as officers and you make a decision. And we said, okay, let us share a link to bhajans that people can listen during the center allotted time. But we decided study circle we can still do because it's a smaller pool of members. So we started off on, I think, a free conference call bridge. And then in 2 or 3 weeks, we opened up a Zoom bridge. A month from then, we started streaming it to YouTube. You see how slowly members start giving ideas. Everybody feels included. For Swami, it is very, very important for every member, every devotee to feel heard. Forget about Sai devotee. It's a basic human need to feel, to be heard, to be appreciated. Oh, they care about my input. Oh, I had suggested not to. I'm giving the Paduka example because this is something that my mother and I went back and forth on many, many times. My mother does her ritualistic, the Abhishekam and all of that every day. She used to keep the Padakas on Swami's cushion, the footstool. And in one of the centers, I got the answer where I'd gone to speak. This was in Edmonton, Canada. I got the answer where one of the devotees, when they could feel Swami walk, and they said Swami looked uncomfortable putting his feet down because there was a sharp object there. I shared it with my mother, and in a loving way, both of us agreed that this is what we'll do. The Padakas will not be there. So like that, if we can take for Swami, it is very, very important. I'm sorry if I'm digressing. It is very important for Swami to take everybody along, to make everybody feel like they've been heard. Can you please everybody? No. But you can explain to them in a loving way and say, we came together as an officer team or as a teacher team. It may happen as SSC teachers. Swami's birthday is coming up. A parent may have suggested and said, oh, can we have this song? But as a collective community, as teachers, you may have felt that might be a little difficult for kids of this age, and you may have chosen something else. Take the effort to explain to that person, for this reason, we chose this. If it's done with love, I'm sure they will hear. And again, I'm not a subject matter on the organization or even in spirituality. I'm only sharing based on what my understanding of Swami is. I don't know, brother, if I answered your question. I know you...
Very nicely. I think you answered the question, sister, because I think, the last thing that you were ending on, was the three most fortunate things. The one is, being born in the time of the avatar, being, and knowing his physical presence and being able to interact, physically in some level. And second was, you were saying loving the avatar. And I think we've covered that up to this, kind of the last couple of questions have been addressed to that. The third piece was the opportunity to serve the Lord. Now you've defined how we love the avatar. Now, can you define how we serve Swami?
I think not everybody may be able to sing. Not everybody may be able to recite the Vedas. Not everybody may be able to teach an SSC class or contribute to a study circle. But everybody can serve. Whether it is in arranging a chair at the Sai Center, or going to the soup kitchen, or tutoring somebody online. Even we have learned over the past year and a half, there are ways for us to serve remotely. We can pick up items, we can order items on Amazon and get it shipped directly. There are so many ways for us to serve. And Swami is so beautiful. He explains things in a way that a PhD scholar can understand, and so can a 6-year-old. And that is what an avatar does. He comes down on this Avatar Declaration Day. You can't stress enough and say how beautifully he demystifies these, the Vedas, the scriptures. He explains it in a beautiful way. Paropakaram idam shariram. This body has been given to us to serve. This is what our scriptures say. And what is Swami's mantra? Love all, serve all. Help ever, hurt never. On his Mahasamadhi, these are the words that I inscribed. Love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. And Swami, he does this beautiful play of words. He says in the word seva, the essence is contained. Do seva so you may be saved. S-E-V-A, rearrange the letters, it becomes S-A-V. Serve in order to be saved. So even if your motive is selfish, where you say, Swami, I want to earn punya, and therefore I want to do this, you will still get the punya for it. But that should not be the motive. So, and Swami exemplified. We talked about that a little bit when I talked about how Swami himself was a role model when it came to service. If you watch the darshan videos of Swami giving away maybe a motorized vehicle to someone who's handicapped, there is these beautiful moving videos. Swami will be brimming with joy. We have to ask ourselves, when we go out to serve, are we doing it like a chore? Are we doing it to tell our service coordinator, hey, you asked us to attend from my center, I have checked the box and sent you 5 members. Oh, you're always saying we don't participate. I have checked the box. Whose box are we checking? Who is keeping score? Swami is not going to, when it's our time to leave the earth, Swami is not going to ask us, tell me which service project you attend. Were you punctual? Did you do that? He's not going to ask us that. It is how we made that beneficiary feel. Did he feel somebody loves him? That he's not alone, that he's not an orphan, that he's not homeless on that day? That somebody came and had a conversation with him? My son is going through this phase. It's not a phase, it's been years. He's growing out his hair and he has very curly hair. So it's like almost, I sometimes joke, are you competing with Swami? He has a big fro now. So at the beginning of the pandemic, when we were starting, we were going downtown, and just by ourselves as an individual, as a family, we drive to downtown, and he would walk up to some of these homeless people and he would hand bags, and people would strike up a conversation with him and say, oh, I love your wig. And he would say, no, this is my real hair. Man, that's beautiful. Just making them not feel like they're poor or they're not in your level. Engaging with them, making them feel like you're one of them. This is how Swami wants us to serve. Never stand on a pedestal and look at it as, I have, you do not have. I'm better off, I'm able to help you. That's why it was called Narayana Seva. There are many, many organizations that do fantastic work. In fact, they may be touching more lives than us as a Sai organization can. There are so many wonderful organizations that do the work. But what is it that sets us apart? And I'm not saying this in a way as to brag and say the Satya Sai way is the way to go. What is it that sets us aside? Definitely there is no fund solicitation, but we are seeing God in everybody that we serve. They are not called Daridras, they are called Daridra Narayanas. Mm-hmm. They are an embodiment of God. And if we serve with that intent, we have served God himself. These are my thoughts, brother.
That's wonderful, sister. So what I'm hearing is it starts with, sometimes it could even start with a selfish motivation of trying to get some punya. And then it'll gradually develop into something where you're seeing God in that person. And of course, I think that's where Swami wants to take us. Wonderful.
May I share a story that Swami is just prompting me with now? This is an experience that Uncle TG Krishnamurti, who's the father of our national president, Brother Harish Naidu. Uncle TGK shared this in a Trai session. So it is okay for me to share because it was shared in a small group of people. So just in the interest of time, I'll cut short the story, but you can probably look it up. In fact, if you go to the SSIO YouTube link, there is a short clip of Uncle narrating this experience. It's about 3 minutes long. Maybe you can play it in one of your upcoming sessions, or even better, invite Uncle to speak. He has some beautiful experiences to share. So he says, one time when he was driving back from Puttaparthi back to Bangalore in the car with his wife, and when he was driving back, their car met with an accident. And long story short, he was injured. But of course, he was saved. He was injured, but he had injured his collarbone and he had to have surgery. A few days later, he went to have Swami's darshan. After he recovered, after a few weeks, he went to have Swami's darshan. He bumped into the uncle who was leading the airport, who was in charge of the airport, I think Uncle Oberoi. And he said, oh, TGK, you're here. Swami told us about your accident. He said, oh, Swami told you about the accident? Swami knows, Swami protected me. Then he went and sat for darshan. And so when Swami came for darshan, he said, oh, Swami, you saved me from the accident. And Swami told him, no, I didn't save you. And he says, no, Swami, you even told all the members in the veranda that you saved me, you protected me, because Swami had come at that same instant when this accident happened. Swami came out to the veranda and he told the devotees VIP seated there, he said, TGK, he met with an accident. I went and saved him very casually. Swami mentioned it. So he said, Swami, you saved me. Please don't say no. And then Swami said, no, I did not come save you. A few moments before the accident occurred, I knew this was going to happen. So I went into your karma bank. Of course, I'm sharing it. I'm taking some creative liberties and explaining it in my own words, but please do listen to it in Uncle TGK's own words. So Swami says, I went into your karma bank and I saw what is the amount of punya, the karma that you've earned. Oh, and then I saw every time you went to a devotee and they thanked you and said, oh, Ayya, thank you. You've given me food. You have come to our region, the remotest corner. He would go to the remotest villages. And as a president of Tamil Nadu, he had to, state president, he had to visit all of these places and share, Swami's message and make sure that the service projects are running properly. These people would say, Ayya, Mikka Nandri, thank you for doing this. And he would say very, very sincerely, but very matter-of-factly, don't thank me, thank Baba. Swami is only sending all this help. And Swami said, every time you did that, kaching, your bank balance, good karma balance was going up. Swami said, when the accident occurred, without my permission, that good karma, as I'm sharing, I'm getting bumps. You cannot fake this reaction. Mm-hmm. When the accident happened, the good karma, the karma phala flew and came and protected you, Swami said. So even if it is for that selfish reason, let us serve, but ideally without expecting anything in return. Thanks for the opportunity to share that, brother.
Oh, no. That was amazing. So, a couple of other questions had come in. You'd mentioned at the very beginning of the talk about the descent of the avatar as an act of love. The descent is not tied to a duty. And the descent of God is for the ascent of man. And of course, you narrated the incident from Swami's childhood. So what are the steps that Swami wants us to take to ascend? Is it just a matter of this love? Or is it, and then how do we know that we're ascending?
Wow, that's a very deep, profound question. Let me take a stab at it. And again, like I said, the disclaimer is that I'm not a subject matter expert on spirituality. I'm just sharing what comes to my mind, what Swami is inspiring me with right now. And I want to share I want to explain this with an analogy. And brother, I'm sure you're doing a beautiful job of summarizing my explanation and bringing it back to the question. So this is what Swami is inspiring me to share right now. In the olden days, there was a concept of avaduta. We've heard Venkateswaran in Swami's own story. In loose terms, you could say this is a sage or a holy person. So this happened. This is a story. It's an anecdote. This sage or avaduta, he was traveling. These are considered, think of them as wandering monks. He was traveling through a village and he realized in this village, nobody knew how to use fire. They didn't know how to make fire. This was a story I heard in one of the talks that I listened to, and it stuck with me, and I feel that it's relevant here. Therefore, I'm sharing. Not everything I'm sharing is something that, it's coming from within. Some things that from Shravanam. Shravanam is the first in the 9 mode of devotion, right? Something that I have heard, I feel, it's worth sharing, and therefore I'm sharing the story. This avaduta was traveling through the length and breadth of the country, and he happened to pass by a village where nobody knew about the concept of fire. And so what he did was he gathered the people and he taught them how to create fire, and he showed them how to use fire. And when they learned that, they were so impressed. They said, oh, thank you, thank you. And as a wandering monk, he doesn't stay in one place, a sannyasi. He moved on. In a few days, he reached another village, and there too, people did not know how to use fire. So he taught them how to create fire. You may have seen during, for instance, during Dashara, the Yajna, Veda Purusha Sapta Yajna, the Pandits, they won't light a matchbox or light a candle. They would actually sit, there is a way to create fire. They would rub these puja dravyams and they would create fire by rubbing wood, 2 pieces, and that heat fire would be caused. So like that, this sage taught them how to make fire. Sometimes, if you're into these nature documentaries, if you watch these shows like Bear Grylls, if there are any young adults who watch shows like that, he actually shows how to create fire out in the wild. So like that, this sage showed them how to make fire. In case there are any children going, why do you have to show someone how to make fire? Just take a lighter. In those days, they did not have a matchbox or anything. So he showed them how to create fire. Time passed, decades passed, and avadutas are believed to live hundreds of years. So this sage was walking about, and after a few decades, he came back to the same first village. And when he came to that village, he saw that he saw that they had actually built a nice temple. It's a mud temple, and they had built a statue, a mud statue, in the likeness of this Avaduta. But he had by then grown a beard, he was older. One could not see him and identify that it's the same person. So he gathered the people in the village and he asked, what is this? Who is this? They said, oh, many years ago, a great sage passed by our village and he showed us how to make fire. He's so great. He showed us how to make fire. So we built a temple for him. But they had not learned how to use it. They were not actually putting it into practice. He was a little disappointed. Yet he showed them again how to make fire. And they praised him. It didn't affect him. He moved on. In days, he went to the second village. Now there too, he saw a little temple built. But here, there was a metal statue of this person in his younger years. And underneath, it was inscribed, this person showed us how to create fire and how to use fire. With the knowledge he's given us, we have factories, we are cooking the food, we are preparing food, we are nourishing ourselves with the food. We have metals industry. Because of him, we have improved ourselves. They too did not recognize him, but this Avaduta felt happy and he moved on. I'm sure you can see the connection. You know, it is not important to attend talk after talk, teach class after class, go to service project after service project without understanding what it is Swami is trying to convey, without practicing it. There's this beautiful term we use in spirituality, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Shravanam is listening. Some messages of the Lord, we practice implicitly. We don't question. Swami said, there are only 3 things that Swami said everybody who calls themselves a Sai devotee should do. Give up meat, do not consume liquor, meat, liquor, and there is one more. Smoking, yes. Thank you, brother. Smoking, eating meat, or consuming liquor. He said these 3 things you must absolutely not do if you want to call yourself a Sai devotee. Everything else, he didn't say it's optional, but he would say, Meeku veelaithe cheyandi. If you can, try to reduce your anger. If you can, try to serve. Serve so you can be saved. Everything else was encouraged. And he did this too out of his love, immense love for us. When somebody once asked Swami, why don't you just order us and tell us you must do this? Why are you saying Meeku veelaithe? You're the avatar, Swami, order us. Swami said, when you do not follow what your guru says or what the avatar says, it amounts to sin. Look at his love. Even that sin, he didn't want us to, he didn't want us to have that sin. He said, if you can, do it, right? Swami has told us the path. He sat and painstakingly wrote all these Vahinis. We don't have to go anywhere else. I do not have to tell you what Swami wants. All of us know we can make the judgment for ourselves, whether your path is Jnana Marga, Karma Marga, Bhakti Marga. But the ideal is to do a combination of all 3. For somebody in my own family, I can tell you, for my mother, it's definitely Bhakti Marga. It is the hours she spends in the puja room and connects with Swami through these talks. For me, it's a little bit of a combination of all 3. Some days the Bhakti Marga is the front wheel in the auto. Some days Karma Marga is. But in my own family, for my father-in-law, the Jnana Marga is number 1. Reading Swami's literature. Reading, that is his way of connecting to Swami. So each of us may have our path, but we have to find our own way. Going to a center, being part of an organization is not going to take us to Swami. We have to make that effort ourselves individually. Even in an own family, if I am hungry, my daughter cannot eat and my hunger won't be, it won't be suppressed by that. I have to make the effort myself. I don't know, brother, if that answered your question at all.
Oh, of course it did. Of course it did, sister. I mean, it seems like all the talks that you're listening to, you referenced several actually. The talks and stories that you're listening to, you're actually trying to extract something that you can apply in your own life that'll improve your, as a tool of self-improvement. I think that's exactly what Swami is looking for. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're saying as well. So I think we're at the top of the hour. I think this is 11:30. We have some more questions, but I'm not sure whether... So maybe we'll do one last question, sister, because I know we promised 11:30. So you just got to it near the end, which is you talked about the different kind of paths that are relevant to you. So earlier on in the talk, you said Swami can be an avatar, he can be a guru, he could be a parent like Akbar, or he could even be a PE teacher. So can you share with us how you relate best to Swami of these roles?
Beautiful. Beautiful question. I'm glad we're ending on this note. The simple, straightforward answer is I relate to Swami as all of these combined in one. I go through moments in my life where I need a stern father who says, what you're doing is wrong, change your ways. And at that time, he's my father. When I make a mistake and when I want somebody who doesn't judge me, who's forgiven, he says, no matter what you did, I love you. He becomes my